Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jameson Coker, and we're live from the CPN News Studio. Today I'm joined with
Zeb Jones. I'm an alumni here. I graduated in the class of 2021, and I go to the University of Alabama. I'm also a cheerleader at the University of Alabama as well.
Zeb. Today we have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one is, what is your routine leading up to taking the mat?
My routine leading up to taking the mat, usually I'm very superstitious. So are a lot of other cheerleaders who compete at a very top level. And I feel like at any sport, maybe have superstitions before you do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like to get up in the morning early. I like to eat like a little small breakfast. I don't like to eat a whole lot, or I feel like I get sick from like the nerves
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I'll read a devotional or the Bible and listen to like worship music to try to like calm my anxiety. And then yeah, I'll hang out with some of my teammates and we'll just like kind of talk through like a bunch of stuff and how we're feeling, communicate with each other, and then we usually head to the competition and then the show starts. Warm up and all that stuff. So yeah.
What is the most difficult skill you had to learn and why?
I think a skill that was hard for me to learn is in high school, my high school age, and like when I graduated and moved to Miami and cheered there, it was a lot of group stunning for me. And like now, if you've seen me at Alabama, I stunt like all by myself,
Mm-hmm.
me and one other girl. So I think that was kind of hard for me to learn at first and like get the hang of, because I used to have people helping me stunt,
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 people,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's just me doing it myself. So I think that was one of the biggest challenges, but now I love it. So.
You mentioned Miami, so can you tell us a little bit about your experience there?
Yeah, so after I graduated here in 2021, I took a gap year and I didn't go straight to Alabama. I went and tried out for one of my dream teams I've always wanted to be on. It's called Top Gun, and the team was TGLC, and it's one of the like most competitive all-star teams like you could ever be on, really. So I decided to try out, and I made it, and then I moved to Miami by myself at 17, 18, I think. So I got a lot of learning experience being on my own before going to college, which was good. But yeah, I moved there when I was 17, 18-ish, and then I stayed there for a year and cheered. I won a lot of championships there as well, accomplished a lot of goals there, and met so many people that led me going into Alabama. So that was one of the greatest experiences I've ever done. So
What is your favorite skill to perform and why?
my favorite skill to perform, I would say any stunt that involves like a hand-in-hand, which is where I hold like a girl basically in my palms over my head in a handstand. And there's various ways to do a hand-in-hand skill. This year we competed at nationals, a fold of feet where she comes down, splits her legs, and then she does a complete spin and lands in my hands all the way back to the front. So that was probably my favorite skill that I've done this year, at least. So.
What would little Zeb think about you being a national champion?
He would probably be very proud of me. I remember thinking at a young age I would go to the Alabama football games and just like look up to people who were older than me, and I never really thought that I mean I wanted to be there obviously, but I never thought that I would maybe accomplish it. Especially being from like a small town, thinking like, oh, I probably wouldn't be much, but yeah, I think little Zeb is proud, and I'm proud of myself too now. So.
So when did you decide that cheer was going to be your thing?
Well, I've started from a really young age. I think I like got a back handspring maybe when I was like 3 years old, I think. And then also my cousin Sydney, she used to cheer here at Collinsville, and she used to babysit me, and she would take me to cheer practice with her, and I would like watch, and I was like, why do I kind of want to do this? But also I was very young, and I was like, this is something that guys normally do, I guess, because it was just all girls out there at the time. But then I think I joined my first team when I was like 7 or 8-ish. I remember it just felt like safe, and it felt like a place that I could like be myself, and it was fun, and I loved that team aspect of it. Yeah, so I think when I knew from a young age that it was my thing, and I played other sports in high school like basketball, which I really loved, but nothing ever felt like cheer did to me. So.
What was it like having to build chemistry with your team and with your stunt partner?
Yeah, chemistry, especially in cheerleading and any sport, I feel like, but especially cheerleading, like I mentioned before, like holding a girl in my hands in a handstand, like you have to have really good chemistry to lock in together for that part. But just as a team, like you go through like a lot of adversity and challenges, and I've won with teams who have good bonds and don't have good bonds. Obviously, it's a more better feeling whenever you win with a team that has a really strong bond. But yeah, just having that good chemistry and getting through challenges and adversity that comes at us, it's very important. And especially this past championship that I just won, it was more than just like a trophy, a ring, and a medal for me. This team meant a lot to me, and we went through a lot this whole season to get to where we ended up, and I'm super grateful for all of it. So,
can you tell us what it feels like to cheer inside Bryant-Denny and Coleman Coliseum?
Yeah. So I remember my freshman year walking. We walked into the stadium before the first ever game day to like just like get a tour of it and look around, and I was already like, wow, and there was nobody in there. But then I remember my freshman year, we have to get to the games like 4 hours before anybody else does to like set up and like do appearances and all that stuff. Like we're on, like there's so much like behind the scenes stuff that you don't see for college cheer. So yeah, we get there super early in the morning, set everything up, and then we kind of go on the quad, do all of our appearances and stuff like that, and then you come back, and when you come back, the stadium's just like full. So I remember my freshman year, we left and like did all that stuff, came back, and I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's 100,000 people, and you would think that people are just there to watch the football players, but I get so many like videos and like messages of people zooming in on me from all the way at the top, and they're just like, oh my gosh, hi, and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought like people wouldn't watch me or care about the cheerleaders, but they do. There's a bunch of like little girls in uniforms that like want to be out there one day. But yeah, to describe the feeling, running out the football team with Nick Saban my freshman year, it was so cool. The crowd is so loud, like down there on the field, like my ears would ring sometimes, especially at the big games. And then also Coleman Coliseum, I love watching basketball. Like I said, I played basketball a little bit in high school. And it's a smaller environment, so it makes it louder and more fun. And I feel like I can interact with the crowd more because I'm closer to them. Being at the football games, everyone's like far away and high up. But yeah.
What is your funniest cheer memory?
Okay, so I would say from this past season, me and my team during national season, like I said, like you go through a bunch of adversity and challenges. But there was one practice. It was like when it snowed here, and it snowed like just in Alabama in general for like the first time in a while. We had practice the day it snowed, and so we were practicing and stuff like that. And we made a deal with our coach that if we hit our routine, which that means like you have 0 deductions in the routine, like you didn't have any mess ups, that we could throw snowballs at her. So she was like, well, if y'all do it, then yeah, because I don't think we had yet leading up to that point, and we had been fighting so hard for it. So we ended up hitting our routine, and the first thing we did, like when we hit the routine at the end, we popped off, ran outside, grabbed snowballs, and threw them at her. So that was pretty fun.
Now we talked a lot about cheer. We can talk a little bit about your academics. What is your program of study right now?
I am a public relations major with a minor in sales marketing.
Can you tell us about your senior year at CHS and what were your plans for the future at that time?
Yeah. My senior year was like a little weird, I feel like, because it was kind of like after COVID. And I like didn't have many classes my senior year. I think I took like 2. But it was just like getting to finish out the the school year with my friends, my best friends, and just making memories that I get to cherish, and like going to all those last like football games and homecoming, and just taking it all in and just enjoying every moment of it. But yeah, I would say my senior year, it was a little different from like what I feel like y'all's senior year is, but it was still one that like I'm not gonna ever forget. So.
In 2019, Collinsville celebrated 100 years of their football program, and you cheered that year. Mm-hmm. Could you describe your experience?
Yeah, I think I was a sophomore maybe that year, but just being around a small town community during like the 100 years of football, it was really cool because I feel like we had a lot of events, especially homecoming that year. I specifically remember that was a very fun one, and just like a lot of alumni coming. But yeah, cheering that year was super fun. I feel like there was a lot of memories made, and it was just a big year for football in general for Collinsville. It was fun to watch as well because my brother played, so I like cheering for him too. So he's gonna like that I said that.
There's a lot of people from Collinsville that go to the University of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe like how it feels to have your friends down there?
Yeah, I think going to college specifically in general is hard, especially when you don't know anybody. But I think having like Kayla, Sydney, Summer, Fernando, Sophie, like all of them down there, we all hang out, and that helps as well. Like I said, for me, I feel like I kind of had an advantage in moving to Florida, to Miami, Florida, before going to college. So I had to experience being on my own before they did a little bit. But I think they handle it very well, and I think I handle it well too. But it does help having each other down there to hang out and just be with each other and see familiar faces because the university's so big.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about how it feels coming from such a small town to competing on such a big stage?
Yeah. I think I mentioned this before, but being from a small town, I feel like you think you can't achieve much. But one of my biggest pieces of advice would probably be if you have the chance to move out of your hometown and get away and like achieve your goals that you want to. That's something that I'm super blessed and grateful that I was able to do. Like I said, I mentioned I moved to Miami, and I think the biggest stage I've competed on, it was arena in Dallas, Texas, and I think it held like anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 maybe. It was a big crowd, and I never thought I would get to experience that. And I mean, I have little kids who like look up to me. I get DMs all the time just saying how people inspire to like do the things that I do one day, and it just means a lot to me. And like just taking pictures with people and making people's days at ball games or competitions or anything like that. I'm super grateful to be able to do that, and those are like the things that I'll take away from being an athlete more than like doing the skill and stuff like that. And competing is like all the little memories I've made and how I impacted other people's lives.
As far as social media goes, do you try to use your platform to spread anything specific, or how do you manage it, or kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest platform that I do use is TikTok maybe, and like Instagram. I just kind of share my life, like what it's like in a day of like me being a student at Alabama and also being a cheerleader. While also just trying to keep a good image of myself and like positivity and spread the word of Jesus. I've posted like so many things about that on there, which is very important to me and important to my life. Yeah, and I wouldn't have any of these things if it wasn't for God. So.